I know, man. That's when I first started collecting. It was only Mystery Men, so it's just like too much. So,
and then you got crazy. Yeah, I try really hard to just stick with one thing. So
cool.
far, I succeeded, kind of.
So you ready?
Yes.
All right. So welcome, Alexander Komarov.
Hi, Jason. Good to see you. How are you doing?
Good to see you too. Thanks for coming on the show. And if people don't know you, like how would you just characterize yourself as a collector?
I would say like the Austin Powers franchise collector. That could be the main thing. You know, I kind of like known for that.
Okay.
In the collecting world, like everybody who knows, you know, me, they know I collect Austin Powers only, and so it's helpful for me to get information of the pieces I'm looking for because they kind of know like I'm the guy to go to. So I would say Austin Powers collector.
All right, cool. And then what did you first start collecting before you got into like Austin Powers and movie props and things like that? Like sort of when you were a kid, like what got you excited? What kind of pop culture things were you into? Where did you grow up? You know, sort of what's your background?
So I grew up in Russia, and I was always a collector as a child. I would collect, you know, we didn't have a lot of stuff, you know, in the 90s. It was kind of like, you know, after the Soviet, it was kind of like, you know, everybody was like struggling with money. It was this whole like, kind of like people were kind of like poor in a way. So I grew up in like a poor family, but I was collecting the first thing.
What decade was this? Like when you were growing up, like in grade school through like high school?
So like mid 90s, I went to school 1997. So the high school would be like early 2000s.
Okay.
The collecting thing, I was collecting always back in the day, like remember those Kinder Surprise little eggs that you have little toys inside?
Yeah.
Like in Europe, like you can actually, here in America, you know, you cannot have, you know, a toy inside of the egg, the chocolate, because it's like, you know, you're having a toy in the chocolate, but there it's like you open the chocolate egg and there was like a little, you know, capsule and then you open the toy. And so there's a lot of like stuff going on back then. It was like a lot of collections coming from those little eggs. And so that's my first collecting, how I started. You know, there was like little, like a lot of like random toys, but then there was like a series of like little like, you know, crocodiles, and there was like 10 of them. And it's like, it's hard to collect all 10 because, you know, it's only 10 of them. And then the other toys is just kind of like random and not as fun, but you always have to go for like this golden like collection. Then you have different animals like every year. So that's how kind of I started collecting those little Kinder Surprise collection toys and stuff.
Oh, cool.
And then like after that, nothing really, then just Austin Powers.
So what kind of like pop culture were you exposed to? Like when you're in like grade school and middle school and high school, like what kind of movies and TV shows and music, you know, were available to you?
It's mostly like when, you know, MTV just came out in like late 90s, early 2000s. I was watching a lot of like the MTV stuff, like the clips and movie, like the music, you know, music videos and stuff. The movies I grew up, you know, like late 80s, like 2000s, like the comedy, The Mask, you know, Mrs. Doubtfire, Austin Powers, you know, a lot of the Jim Carrey stuff. And because I always loved comedy, so that's kind of like was my main target. And I was growing up watching a lot Home Alone, like Disney stuff, and also like a lot of the stuff came like later, like in Russia, like, you know, Home Alone and Beauty and the Beast, like came out like, you know, the late 80s, and I didn't see them until like 1994, 1995 on like the VHSs, like the pirate versions and stuff. So, but yeah, mainly it was just the 90s movies. like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Rambo and all that stuff. So that was kind of like my main target that I kind of grew up with.
Okay, and then how did you get into Austin Powers?
So that was this is like a whole, like basically the franchise changed my life in a way, because I saw the second film first. I believe it was like 2000, 2001, maybe, because it came out in 1999. So I saw like at least a year or 2 years after that. And my uncle back in the day would like record everything on VHS because they would show it on TV, and he would record stuff. And so he recorded that, and I was watching it, and I was just fascinated about how fun it was. And I fell in love with the Dr. Evil because I always loved villains. In any like hero, like Batman, it's all about villains to me. Like I don't like any heroes. It's so like I like the character and the dramatic, aspect of it as a character, why they became villains and all that. And it's more fun, to watch them and as an actor. Like I did some theater and to play them as well. There's way more to develop and have fun with. And so that kind of, and mind you, I never saw, I mean, I heard about James Bond because I was like 14, 15 years old when I saw the second Austin Powers first. So I heard of James Bond, but I never saw any of them. So basically, I had no idea it was a spoof of the James Bond film. I just thought it was all original. The Dr. Evil was original, and Austin, obviously I had no idea. And then later, I found out like, this was based on, all the James Bond stuff. So maybe that's for also kind of like was special for me because I didn't know it was based off something. And I kind of fell in love with the film. I saw it maybe 10 times on repeat, watching over and over and over. And then one time I'm watching it, I'm just kind of like laying in bed. I'm like, lazy to turn it off. And I see the cast and it goes like Austin Powers, Mike Myers, Dr. Evil, Mike Myers, Fat Bastard, Mike Myers. And I'm like, oh, really? Like I had no idea that he played all those characters either. And I watched that movie funny. 10 times. So that kind of like got me like, oh my God, like I want to go to theater. I want to start acting. I want to be like Mike Myers. I mean, I can't believe like he tricked me. Like I could not recognize him. I didn't know who he was, but that was the same guy playing all these characters. And then I saw the first film also on TV. And then, so I went to theater school there. And of course, I was dreaming about like, I have to go to Hollywood. I have to move out of Russia. I have to go to, Los Angeles and meet Mike Myers and all that. It was just, I was like a 14-year-old kid. So I went to the theater school, started like learning theater because there's no film school there. And had fun, a lot of fun, play a lot of roles. And wanted to become an actor because of the Austin Powers. I think basically Mike Myers inspired me, to be so unrecognizable in the work, and you can create all these characters on the stage or on film. And then when Goldmember came out in 2002, in the States, it premiered in July 26, 2002, and in Russia, it opened in October 3rd. And of course, I went on the opening night, and then I think I went to the theater 15 times. 15 times. I went to the opening night, then the next day I went again, and then I went that evening, and then the next day I brought my uncle, then the next day I took my sister, and then it was just like I would go and see it so many times, until they stopped playing it, and I was waiting for the VHS to come out and DVD to come out. So I was kind of like really, almost like obsessed with the Austin Powers world and Mike Myers, and I, watched a lot of other stuff that Mike did, his other work, and so that's kind of how it all started. So I started saving money, already thinking I'm moving to Los Angeles. And yeah, so since I saw the second film, since I kind of like wanted to be an actor and stuff, and I was saving up for 6 years, working hard, going to school, studying theater and stuff. And I moved to the States in December 2007.
Okay.
And so basically, like I keep telling people, like when they ask me, like, why did you move to the States? I was like, because of Mike Myers. So that's why it's even like deeper, as a collector, there's that franchise basically changed my life in a way. So there's like a deeper stuff in the way why I collect this stuff, not just because I like the movie or my dad took me when I was 4 years old, and people have this nostalgia. They all have different reasons why they collect from specific franchise or specific movie. For me, this is like almost like, a time changer. Like it changed completely my life in a way. So that's how, Austin Powers kind of like, change everything. And I'm in the States, I'm a US citizen, be thankful. I haven't met Mike Myers yet to thank him, but hopefully I will one day.
Have you ever tried to reach out to him?
No, I mean, he lives in New York. And I don't know how. I mean, I'm friends with the costume designer Dina Pal, who did all 3 films. I know some people. I don't know how to. I don't know how to like approach me. I mean, it'll be great, but Dina Appel said like if he's gonna make another film, maybe I can be in it and be like something like a background, or maybe in the costume department, something. I would love to get into that if that happens. But they've been talking about that stuff for so many years, but we don't know if that's going to happen or not. But no, I'm not. I mean, I wish I know how, but yeah, that's the goal, to meet Mike Myers eventually.
Okay. And then, so when you got to Los Angeles, did you do any like schooling for acting or try out for any roles? Or
yes, I went to so first I had to learn English, so that took a couple of years. I had to go to college, take ESL classes.
Yeah.
And then eventually I went to the Santa Monica City College and for the theater program, and I got my college degree in Santa Monica. So I played a lot of fun stuff there. A lot of musical theater workshops. I fell in love with musicals, with musical theater. I would go to New York all the time to see all the Broadway stuff, just to see what's going on. Because in Russia, it's basically, we have some musicals, but it's like, it's usually opera or like operetta, which is like mixed between musical and an opera. And we don't really have like musicals there. So to me, it was like a whole new genre I had to like learn here in the States, which was a lot of fun. And so I've done a lot of shows, a lot of plays in college. And the funniest thing, all my roles I played were all character roles. I played the first thing I played was the play You Can't Take It With You. I played the Russian ballet dance teacher, Kalinkov. And of course I had to make it over the top with the, thick Russian accent and be like, and I was like creating like, okay, I'm going to walk like that. And I'm going to like, I need like a little monocle in my eye. And I want it's so much fun, like creating the character, just like, how is he going to walk? It's like, especially it's like a comedic role.
Right.
And then I would play the villains. I played Musical Man of La Mancha. I played Dr. Carrasco, who was the villain. Also fun to play villains as well. Like I love villains, so it's always a joy to do it on the stage. A lot of over-the-top character roles. My final show was Shrek the Musical in college, and I played Lord Farquaad. So that's, that was a lot of fun. I have to be on my knees the whole show. It was challenging, but good thing he's not on the stage a lot, so it was worth it. So that's how I always, a lot of makeup, a lot of like prosthetics, and kind of like try to be unrecognizable on the stage, or specifically go for those roles, audition for those roles. Always either the villain or the comedy role or something like that. So yeah, college was a great school. In Santa Monica, I spent 5 years there.
And then with Austin Powers, did you start right into movie props, or did you start collecting other kinds of memorabilia first and then find out about movie props, or how did that all come together?
Yeah, that was random. Because I started collecting in 2019. That was the first time I started collecting stuff. And it was just, I honestly never thought about the fact that you can have that stuff. And I had no idea because, for example, I was growing up like in Russia where all those like classic Soviet films, they're famous in the 70s and 80s and 60s and early 90s. They were always sponsored by the government. So most of the movies are, government sponsored. Same with the theater. It's like a government job. You don't have to audition. You just work. Once you get a job in the theater, you work for the rest of your life. Government, it's like a government job. They pay you money. So most of the iconic costumes from all the characters from the Soviet films, they all go to the museum. They all go to the Moscow Museum of Film or, St. Petersburg. And so there's no access to it anywhere, and to own it, you can only look at it when you go to the museum. So that's why I never even thought that here in the States, like, okay, the movie is over, there's an auction, everything goes to sale. And I randomly, it was like laying in bed, like it was late, I was like, just kind of couldn't fall asleep. And I'm like laying there, I'm like thinking, what happens with all this stuff? Like, what happens with all these props and costumes? Like, where does it go? And I Google like Austin Powers props. And then of course the prop store shows up, and you have to go there and you see it's just that's how I found out that you can have it. And then the Your Props account, you can see the people list some things from Austin Powers there, and how to start. I started tracking stuff, bought a few pieces from the prop store, and then start tracking the auctions, and that's how it all started.
Yeah. So what was the first thing that you bought?
The first thing I bought from the website, from Prop Store's website, it was the Nigel Powers male symbol necklace, framed, which is great, beautiful prop. And that was my first prop that I bought. And then after that, it was the London 2019 auction, and I got a lot of stuff from that. Some Austin Powers suit and the Shagwell's dress, and a couple of the small little jewelry pieces. And then just like started, tracking every single auction house and look at the catalogs and see what they have from Austin Powers. And yeah.
So when you got that first piece, like what was sort of your experience, like opening the box and seeing that first original prop that you owned?
That was like, I first of all, again, shocked. Like, oh my God, I can't believe like he wore it, or it was production made, and this is actually from the movie. It was like a little like, like goosebumps, like, oh my God, I can't believe I have something from the film that I've been watching so many times, and basically movies that changed my life. So it was definitely special. And the funniest thing is, like, I got the piece, but I was like, I was not satisfied, because like I have to have the Dr. Evil pinky ring, because that's my favorite character. And it's like, I have to find the ring. Like, yes, I have the necklace now, but I need to go and find other stuff. So I was kind of constantly like thinking about like, where do I find the rest of the pieces that I like, the highlight pieces that I really, really wanted, like my Holy Grail or whatever, like the stuff that I really wanted. So I was always on the search. And the group on Facebook, the main one, helped a lot, because there are a lot of collectors that I was asking questions, and they were like, okay, this person owns this and this person owns that. And you kind of start talking to them, and even though a lot of them don't sell, at least you know where it is, and they know that whenever the time is ready for them to sell, I'm going to be the first person who they're going to approach. So that's also helps,
Yeah. So what's like the favorite item that you have in your collection currently?
The Dr. Evil pinky ring. That's okay. Yeah.
And when did you get that?
That one I got from a private collector in 2020. I was like doing a payment plan, then I paid it off. It was in the collector lives in the UK, so I got that. It was a very big number, because he didn't want to sell it. So I paid a lot of money, but I was like, I don't care. I need this ring, because I'll never sell it again. So, so I got that. And funny enough, it was from Goldmember. Funny enough, like 2 years ago, London had an auction, and they had a Dr. Evil ring and Mini-Me ring in the same lot from the second film. And I'm like, well, I have to have that too. So now I have two Dr. Evil rings.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have two Dr. Evil rings and the Mini-Me ring. Yeah.
Wow.
I actually have them right here. I can show you.
Cool.
Yeah, they're on the display, but I kind of took them off the display. I don't know if you can towards the camera.
Oh, nice.
So you have the Dr. Evil and the Mini-Me little one. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
That's my favorite item. That, when they ask you like, what is one item you never part with? That's the one.
Yeah.
When I'm dead, somebody can sell it, but it's not leaving my my apartment or my house anywhere. So it's
nice.
There's a lot of items that I like that I don't think I would part with. Not many, but to be honest with you, like, I haven't sold a single piece. I've been collecting for almost 6 years, and I haven't sold a single piece. And I'm not going to, because I'm still collecting and stuff. And I always feel like fascinating, just looking at this like props world, how you see the catalogs and see what's in there, and you see an item sells, and then you see that item in the auction in like 6 months. I'm like, well, don't you want to? Why did you buy? You know what I mean? Why did you buy this stuff? Why are you selling it? I mean, I get it. Sometimes you have like problems. You need the money for something, some emergency, but it happens all the time. And so I don't get that whole the stuff that I buy. It means a lot to me, and I want to keep it. I mean, maybe one day in 100 years I'll sell it, but I'm not planning to. But I don't see the point of like buying something and resell it like 6 months later, just to kind of like say that you own it for a short period of time. That's kind of like always like I was asking questions about that stuff. Like, my stuff is everything I have is like people are not going to see it for a very long time. So
yeah, well, I think it's rare that you're collecting from just one film franchise, because most people collect just sort of from a lot of different,
a little bit of everything,
a lot of different things. So there, I think the fact that you're collecting from one franchise means you obviously hold it in much greater regard and have a lot more attachment to those items.
Yeah, and also like there are some stuff that I saw like, oh my God, I want to, I was tempted a lot. There's a lot of films that I like, and like especially the 80s comedy like Mrs. Doubtfire. I would love something from that. I love Hook. I would love to have like Dustin Hoffman's Hook costume. There's a lot of things I saw or I kind of aware of that I'm like, oh my God, if only I could have that. I love the Batman franchise, the first four, the ones I grew up with. Even though everybody's hitting third and fourth one, I'm still kind of like, I was growing up watching it, so it was cute. They still kind of hold a special place for me. And loving villains, I would love to have like each villain costume from each film. So there's a lot of stuff up there that I really want, but I just, I'm just gonna really collect what I truly, really, really love, and I would spend any money for. So, but yeah, definitely, it's discipline. It's hard to, press that bid button when you see something really cool.
Yeah, well, it seems like Austin Powers props and costumes typically go for like really good amounts, like really high prices compared to a lot of other franchises, and it seems like, when Prop Store or Heritage have an auction, they usually have one or a couple items. Like, has that been your experience, that there's always sort of a steady flow of expensive Austin Powers items sort of entering the market?
Yes, and the funniest thing, like, because I cannot have it all, so I have to pick. Sometimes, the Prop Store had an auction last November, and they had like 6 major costumes and I was like, I cannot buy them all, especially in pounds, it's higher than $1 and the fees and all that. So I had to, pick, okay, I'm going for this 2 and I have to let go of the other 4. It's challenging. I mean, if it's only one piece that shows up at the auction, I'm going to go for it. I don't have to worry. It's like, okay, there was one Austin Powers item. I'm just going to buy it and call it a day and close the auction. I'm done, But if there is like multiple, I mean, if they're little, one thing, but if like major like signature costumes, that's, like 20,000 pounds opening bits and stuff like that, you have to make a choice which one is right now a priority for you, and then kind of like let go of the other stuff. And also the good thing is, the more I buy it, the less there will be out there. So eventually it'll be nothing because I'll have it all.
Yeah, but you're driving your prices up on yourself too. You're making things more rare, right?
Yeah, that's true. So I mean, the less the stuff up there, the more I have to pay for it, I guess. Yeah. But it's part of the collecting, I guess. And people know that I collect.
Yeah, I know a few people that collect Austin Powers. Like, how many collectors have you come across that have like more than a couple items from the movie?
Well, there are 3. One of them is, I probably have the biggest collection, but my stuff is like all props, costumes, production materials. That collector has mainly just costumes. There's no props, but he definitely has more costumes than me because he's been collecting that for years. This is
a gentleman in the UK, right?
No, that's a person in the US, and very, very very large collection. I would say, I don't know, maybe like 20, 30 costumes altogether from all films. Yeah, like a lot. And then, there's another collector who collects spy genre that has a couple of items. And then, yes, the UK collector also. I think we talk about the same person. He's the one. Yeah. If we talk about the same person, he's the one who sold me the ring.
Okay. So, yeah.
So I'm slowly working with all of them to slowly, take stuff out and hoping that I send it to the auction so I can avoid all the taxes and all the,
Yeah, well, it's funny because I think I told you I when I first started collecting movie props, I collected just mystery men, so it was very similar. And there's one other guy that was collecting at the same time. So anytime something would come up, we would both be going for it. And then when I finally decided to just sell off all my mystery men stuff because I wanted to collect other things at the exact same time, he made the same decision. I was like, dude, like,
that's crazy.
Come on, you could have done that. You could have done that earlier, and it would have been less painful for us. Because other than the two of us, no one really seemed to care about anything from that movie. So you know, it wasn't like Austin Powers prices for sure.
Yeah, that's that. You know, that helps. I wish my prices were slow. I like, you know, less than. I wish I liked something like nobody cared about and I could get it all cheap. You know.
Yeah, it made it a lot more fun.
Yeah.
And then have you met any of these other big collectors in person?
Yeah, I kind of like, when since I only collect Austin Powers, I, kind of just interested in that. But I also I like that whole hobby in general. There's so many great people and I met so many great friends, through collecting and stuff. So, and the funniest thing, I have a story with Dave Mandel, who I actually never met, but I worked. My best friend is a payroll accountant, and he was working on TV shows. And he started working on Veep season 7 at Paramount, and he had an assistant, and they were looking for a payroll clerk who pulled all the checks and all that. And I'm like, he's like, do you want to try it? It's fun. You're in the studio. I was like, oh sure. So I took the job. It's Monday to Friday in the office, and Dave Mandel was the writer and one of the producers. And it was way before, because it was 2018 and I started collecting in 2019. So not only I didn't collect anything, I also didn't know he was a collector. And so I was like, I would see him every Thursday when I go pay the crew. I would see him on the chair, but I never knew who he was or anything. And then later on, when I started collecting and everybody's like, oh, Dave Mandel. I'm like, oh yeah, I work on his show. And no idea that he has all this gigantic collection. And, it's so neat. And I still haven't met him yet. So I would hopefully because every time there was an auction event, I would go there. He wouldn't be there. So I'm trying to find the time where we both had the same auction preview event or something like that. But that didn't happen yet. So
yeah, he's a super nice guy. I met him I think over 20 years ago, but his collection's amazing.
Yeah. That's
not just movie props and costumes, but he has an incredible original comic book art collection. Yeah. And
no, he's been there for a long time. Yeah. Great taste. And also he was lucky starting so early,
Yes.
Is right now what he has starting from scratch, it's just the prices are just insane. So I always always envy those collectors that started so early, and at least they pay price what we pay now, but at least back in the day they got some good deals and they got some cool stuff, So if only I knew about all this before. So that was cool. And the funniest thing, I met more collectors. I became friends with more collectors in the UK than in the US, because because a lot of them had Austin Powers stuff. So we're kind of constantly talking, because I've done a lot of those receptions, all kinds of auction houses. Still, I don't know a lot of Los Angeles collectors, but in the UK, I went to London for the first time and I knew almost everyone. I was like, oh my God, I made, Stephen Lane for the first time, but I've been talking to him on Facebook for 4 years, asking questions and stuff. And just all these collectors, it was just so much fun, just to see all these people that I've been talking to for the past 4 years constantly. And so I feel I don't know, from my experience, UK collectors are kind of I don't know how to explain. They're just they're more kind of true collectors, because LA, it's more, a lot of people here just buy it as an investment in a way, but in the UK, they're hardworking people that, have to sell something to buy something. It's still real, passionate people. That's what I've noticed. So I talked to a lot of UK collectors.
Yeah. I mean, I found in LA, the people who would turn out for VIP receptions and stuff are more old school, old Hollywood collectors, not so much the contemporary stuff. But then in the UK, there's so many just very passionate collectors. Even when I started collecting a long time ago, like probably over half the really serious collectors I was interacting with were either in England or Germany or, you know, just overseas versus the
Absolutely,
US.
yeah.
So that's kind of been my experience too.
And
So
if
what
I
was
also
like the
like,
first? Oh, go ahead.
no, the other thing is like I've noticed like yes, I've been gone to a lot of those receptions. It's usually is the same people that comes to the it's exactly the same people. You see the same
Yeah.
like 50 people that show up, and all of them.
Yeah, I
That's
mean, I would see you, but and I'm like, oh,
yeah,
cool. Let's talk about
I
Austin Powers. But
yeah, I think 2 times. Yeah, I went to it's fun. I love those events. They're fun. You know,
yeah, what was your first live auction that you attended in person?
that would be London last year.
Okay.
Yeah, because I always bid online because I started my first auction was 2019 London, and that was I was bidding at home because it was like 4 o'clock. They used to start it so early, like back in the day. Now they kind of like pushing it like 3 p.m. like London time, so it's like 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. LA time. But like back in 2019, I remember that auction started at 5 a.m. LA time. And you know, it's a prop store, they do like alphabetical orders. So it's like Austin Powers is the first thing. So I did not go to bed at all. I was like, you know, have a friend over, like drinking like mimosas and like, you know, 5 o'clock. Okay, 5 a.m. The auction's starting. So that was my first like bidding, kind of like live, you know, online. And my first like live was again London prop store. But last year I actually flew there and was in the room. I actually just posted a video on YouTube about me bidding in person. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Can you talk about your YouTube channel too?
Yeah. So I started doing COVID time, and I basically kind of like just was like talking about my life, my culture, you know, where I come from, and kind of like regular blogging. And since Austin Powers took a big part of my life, and this collection kind of like grows, you know, day by day, I started posting a lot of unboxing videos from the props I buy, or just talking about the auctions or what's coming up. And so there was a lot of fun. There was a lot of fun up there, you know, for the collectors to see. I posted the unboxing from the Beyonce dress and the mini me outfit I got from that London auction. I was bidding in person. There was a bidding video and my London experience trip. There's a lot of stuff that I'm trying to like release as soon as possible, because I filmed that stuff so long ago, and now I actually have time to put it up there. So there's a lot of that, and I'm also started interviewing a lot of the Austin Powers people. I became friends with the costume designer. There's an interview with her, and right now I'm working on a couple of other cast members that were in the film to interview them, and so yeah, it's kind of growing slowly, but I'm trying to invest time in that.
Nice. Have you sort of made new connections as a result of putting these YouTube episodes out?
No, not really, not yet. But hopefully, yeah. Hopefully, once it grows, hopefully it'll help. But it's just fun, you know, to share stuff with people, like what I'm interested in, and people love unboxing stuff. You know, they love watching that. So
yeah,
that's also.
And then we could see some costumes behind you. How did you sort of figure out how to display your item?
So that's when I met Dina Pell, the costume designer from Austin Powers. I sent her a picture. I had these two mannequins, and it was an Austin Powers suit and Felicity Shagwell's dress. And the first thing she asked me, like, I hope you don't keep them on the mannequins like that for a long time. I was like, oh, no, I'm just going to, you know, take the picture and take them off. And because, you know, you have to protect them from sun, from dust. And she was the one who kind of told me, like, make sure they covered, make sure they properly displayed. So, and it's, you know, expensive, because if you want to make a custom mannequin from the actors, you know, height and all that, if Mike Myers is 5'8", you have to make sure that the mannequin is 5'8", and it fits him perfectly, so there's no like stretching the fabrics and all that, and also cover them. Because I see so many times on these posts on Facebook, these collectors, you know, display their stuff, and then none of them are covered, and some of those pieces, like, you know, old, and they need special care, and just like sit there collecting dust, like. So that's why I was like, you know, breaks my heart when I see stuff like that. So I learned my lesson, like, if you can't afford to display it, put it in the closet until you can actually afford to display it. If you have to skip a prop, if you have to, skip, one auction not to buy a prop, you can invest the money into the displaying your favorite piece. So that's why I only have 3 items up there that are right now frame. Actually, Dr. Evil is still not. I don't have the case frame yet because I just got the display made. So right now there's like a plastic bag on him the whole time until the case actually finished being made. And yeah, so custom made that's my number 1 rule. And then like the plexiglass box, which are expensive. I think that Austin Powers one is like $2,500. But at least
wow.
like, I don't have to. It's like UV, like, sun protecting and all that. And you'll be surprised how much dust I collect on top of that every week. So like, I'm glad they're, covered.
Yeah. Where do you have your mannequins made?
That's Kelly, our friend Kelly. I said on the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the one, that LA guy who's here, and the only one I think who makes that stuff. So he was also very helpful. Like, I always go to him, and blog for the whole group of the guys that he joined. They're really talented people. So I'm always every custom made display. That's the Austin made by them, the little mini me made by them, and the Dr. Evil, all 3. And we have a next year we're gonna do the gold member, like, leather overalls costume. That's gonna be the next project.
Oh, nice. And then are they helping get those cases made as well, or is that another source?
No, the cases are, there's some, I forgot the name of the like a laser cut something. It's there in Van Nuys here in there's like a plexiglass company that makes the displays.
Okay.
Yeah, so I go to them for that. And it's like easy. I just like rent a U-Haul and go and pick it up and drive back, instead of ordering something, because getting it somewhere else is gonna be expensive, shipping and all that. So I try to make everything LA based, so I don't have to pay for the shipping.
Right.
But it looks like it looks clean, it looks good, So
yeah, it looks amazing.
Thank you.
Do you want to talk about the pieces in your collection?
Well, I brought a couple of stuff. So mainly, so the 2 costumes behind me is basically, it was a miracle that I own both of them, because they're both in this kind of like big private collections. The Dr. Evil was in Planet Hollywood forever, for many, many years. Dr. Evil suit was displayed at the Planet Hollywood, New York. And then they closed during COVID time.
Is that from the Heritage auction? Was that from the recent Heritage auction? Yes, that was the Planet
Hollywood Heritage.
Okay.
And then the mini-me,
nice.
There was the Paul Allen guy, the big collector who had all this stuff, who passed away. He had a theater in Seattle, like a movie theater. And I saw a lot of pictures, and saw that big auction that Prop Store did last year, when they had like 6 items from they have like the Austin Powers blue suit and Dr. Evil suit and the mini-me outfits, and this one, it all came from that collection, because I would see pictures of, because that little movie theater in Seattle, they would like rotate their costumes, and I would see those costumes that showed up at the auction. So it was also in this big Paul Allen collection, and I guess his relatives or whoever, they sold them all. So there's this 2 major auctions, which was like, the last year for Austin Powers, particularly like last year from Prop Store, they had 7 major costumes. And then right after that was the Planet Hollywood that had 5 costumes from Austin Powers as well. So I had to really like pick which ones I'm going for. And of course the mini-me, I had to go get it, because I knew Dr. Evil was coming up, right, 4 months after that. So I got lucky and got them both. And now they are finally reunited together. So that's
so were those like your story. 2 top choices in those 2 auctions? Were those like the two costumes you most wanted?
Yes, and then I also wanted the Beyonce Foxy Cleopatra golden dress from Studio 69 scene when she sings the Gold Member song. So I also got that at the Prop Store auction. And the Planet Hollywood was another one that must have, was the overalls, the leather overalls, Gold Member outfit. So I also got that one. The only one I was going really hard for and I didn't get was the Gold Member's tracksuit from Studio 69. That went for like $30,000, and I was just like, there was no way. Because I kept bidding and bidding and bidding, and it's like, and I was like, I have to stop, because the overalls was going after the tracksuit. So like I still have other ones to, fight for. So I just kind of let that go. But yeah, so there was a really cool like back to back 2 major auctions that I got a lot of good stuff from. And some other stuff I was going to show, this prop, which I got at the first prop store auction in 2019, was this preparation aged gold member key, which is like a really, really fun thing. So when you kind of like, it goes up and the box kind of lifts up. So this is like production made, not screen used, because the screen use had little like light bulbs around here and they kind of like blink and stuff. So, but this is definitely like production made and stuff. So that's also like probably one of my favorite items that I got that I would never probably part with. And then this, glasses you recognize, those are the Austin Powers glasses that I got from another auction. So those are really cool. I had to fight for them a lot. They were kind of like, going high, and I kept bidding and stuff. So the other cool item that I have is the gold member roller skating clogs that are actually like screen matched.
Oh wow!
You can see them right here.
Nice.
And it's like you can actually screen match them. Those are the ones that you wore in the fake legs because it's all like rubber. So those are the ones that he wore in the fake legs when he was lifting the legs. And there's like a little dent here, and that's so you can actually screen match exactly the same mark that's on the screen. So these are also like one of my like highlights. I love these.
Yeah, those are amazing.
Then yeah, I also got it from the private collector. Was begging to sell, and so I finally got them. The other, I think, really cool item that I have is, this was from 2 years ago from prop store auction. There is the prop master who basically sold a lot of stuff he found in his garage he worked in the second and third Austin Powers film, Eugene McCarthy. So one of the items was the property department book. So it's basically, it's every item that was made for the second film, it's all here. So it's like, so you can see all the props that was made for the second movie, so that's also, for me as a collector, like this is gold. So you can see all this stuff. So that's probably one of my highlights, because, to have something like that.
Yeah.
Also, because I'm friends with the costume designer, Gina Pell, she has couple of items that she kept, and she also has those costume designer sketches. Like I'm sure she has Bibles like from each film, and she doesn't want to part with anything, but I'm hoping one day she'll let me have that, as one of the biggest collectors. So hopefully I can have the costume design Bible as well one day.
Yeah.
And then there's some cool props like this Kama Sutra Austin Powers book. I like this prop a lot. That also came from the prop master through prop store auction. And then this book was, this one cracks me up. This was from the deleted scene. It never made it to the movie from the second film. This is the Fat Bastards book, 1001 Way to Cook a Baby. So I thought it's like, it was, very, very funny. So there's just like a few items that, this is the Dr. Evil framed pinky ring that I like. So you can see the ring right here with the pictures of the film and all that. So that's one of my favorite pieces. Yeah, so just like a couple items that, the other thing I wanted to show is the what I kept when I was, like I told you, back when I was, in Russia watching Goldmember 15 times. I went to see my family 3 years ago. My aunt kept the little ticket from the Austin Powers. So this is actually in Russian, like Austin Powers and Goldmember. And I have all those like little the ticket stubs inside that I kept. So I actually know how many times I saw it. So that's a cute little thing that I didn't know even existed until I went to see my family, and my aunt was like, "Oh, I have your thing you have here." It's like, "Oh, wow." So that's kind of like part of my collection, part of my kind of like obsession, how it all started. So And I try to post things on like your props, just to kind of like keep track of what I have, and so collectors can see it and stuff and enjoy it. And there's also a collector, Ian, the Gremlin collector, who has a
Oh
like a
yeah.
Gremlin museum website. I kind of like got inspired by that as well. Like, I kind of want to like also like make it like maybe like an Austin Powers, museum website, and have custom designer as a friend also will help me, kind of like talk about the costumes and how they got created and all that. So that's kind of like in the works. I'm trying to
Oh, cool.
do that as well eventually. And then
Nice.
also like thing I wanted to mention is the whole costume designer story. That kind of like goes right after the Dave Mandel story. So when I worked on Veep season 7, I did the whole show Veep. That was the final season, 2019. My friend went to get a job at there was a Good Trouble season 2 at Santa Clarita Studios. They were filming there, and it's like a spin-off of Foster's. And I kind of like didn't want to go there because I didn't want to like Monday through Friday 9 to 5 is not for me. I'm a creative person. I want to kind of flexible schedule. So I'm like, I'm good. Especially driving to Santa Clarita was kind of far. And so I did not take the second gig he got. And then right at the end of the season, his assistant quit, and he goes like, Alex, can you help me? Like, we're filming the final episode. There's a lot of extras. There's a lot of payroll. You know how to file. Just can you come like part time and just help me out? I'm like, And he goes like, well, what if I tell you that our costume designer is Dina Pell, who did all 3 Austin Powers films? And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna start tomorrow. So I took the job just to meet her. And of course, I meet her the first day I was working in the office, and I didn't go right at her like about talking about Austin Powers, but slowly like, okay, so every Thursday I would have my paychecks, and I would go to the departments, and I would I'll talk to her like on Thursday when I go pay the crew, and I was only there for like a month and a half because I was at the end of the show, and so every time I go to the costume department to pay the crew, she was like either on the location or she's on the phone, or so I could never get a chance to talk to her. And then eventually her assistant Brooke was like, well, come next week. This is a heavy episode. There was 500 extras. She's doing a lot of costuming, so like once we're done filming, she'll talk to you. And then once we're done filming, I go like, hey, is Dina here? I was like, oh no, she has some, family emergency. She won't be here until like Monday. And so I go on Monday, and she goes, oh, I think we're done for the season. She won't be here anymore. And I'm like, the whole point of me taking the show, I wanted to meet costume designer. And she goes, well, I talked to her about you, and that's her email. You can email her, and I'm sure she'll love to hear your stories and that you love to collect her work. And I emailed her, and then we finally, a couple months later, got together. And she's the nicest person. She brought me some sketches she gave that the costumes I have. She got me those and some other stuff that was not even made for the film. And so many stories, so many fun, because as back when I was doing theater in Russia, my mentor was this actor who was always making costumes for him. Like, he would always dress his roles. And that kind of inspired me. So not only I was doing theater back in Russia, I went to the sewing school and the costume designing school. So I studied that for 2 years. And I also when I did the community theater in Russia, I would always make my own costumes. So there is also like a special place in my heart for like the costumes and the costume design and all that. And so we had a lot of comment about that stuff. So I asked about the questions, how she designed this costume and that. And she's the nicest person ever. And now every time I have questions about like, what do you think this is from? What do you think that's from? It's like these details we have to, find out, because for example, when the prop store had an auction last year, the CEO of New Line Cinema had Austin Powers blue suit, made for all 3 films, like used in all 3 films. It wasn't used for 3 films. So that's when you go to the costume designer, like, hey, Dina, what do you think this blue suit is from? She's like, well, it's about the lining, about the structure of the fabric. So, okay, what lining inside? Yes, this is the gold member. So stuff like that. It's always good to have people like that, in your pocket too, who can help you verify things and stuff. So that's definitely a special relationship I've had with her. And she also loves that I collect all this stuff. So
Nice. Well, very cool. Thanks for sharing. And then if people want to get in touch with you, like what's the best way for them to reach out?
Probably the YouTube channel would be the best way.
Okay.
And yeah, I can send the link. You can just put it underneath if you want. Because there's a lot of fun stuff there, and I keep posting stuff. And there's another video coming up. I'm trying to interview Mindy Sterling, who played Frau. So that's hopefully in works. She's also like, I met her once. She's the sweetest person ever. Super nice. So I'm hoping I supposed to have dinner with her sometime soon. So hopefully we can arrange something. So yeah, if you want to check it out, a lot of unboxing, a lot of, collecting stuff, and just eventually I want to like go through my collection, kind of like talk piece by piece, maybe like get Dina Pell involved and have something like discussions with her, which would be fun. Yeah, there was a lot of, stuff in work. So definitely YouTube channel would be the great way to, or Instagram. I can also send you that as well. My Instagram, I post a lot of, Austin Powers stuff there, like unboxing and stuff, and links to my YouTube as well. So you can find me Instagram or the YouTube channel, the best ways.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on the show and sharing about your collection and your passion for Austin Powers.
Thank you so much, Jason. So much fun. Thank you so much. I appreciate that a lot.